Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to go ahead and jump right in so that I don't take up too much of your time today. So today we're going to be talking about the surprising benefits of learning in nature. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about because there's so many research studies that have been done over the past many years showing all of the amazing benefits of spending time in nature. And we're going to talk about some of those things that we might already know that we recognize that are benefits, but then there's a whole bunch of benefits to your child and to adults as well for spending time in nature and engaging with natural elements, and that I wanted to share some of those surprising thoughts with you today. So before we get started, I do want to just do some housekeeping notes. So to get the most out of our time together today, shut down any distractions that you might have. So close out the Facebook window, turn off Instagram, mute your phone if you can. Obviously, we can't always shut off our children, but you might even hear mine come running in at some point. But any distractions that you're able to turn off for now for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so, go ahead and do that. I recommend grabbing a piece of paper and a pen to take some notes. I'm going to be sharing some research studies and some different things that you might want to share with others. And then maybe you want to write down the information about the specific study if you want to look at that later. But I'm also going to share a couple of tips at the end that you might want to utilize. And I find that if you write things down as soon as you think of them, you're much more likely to implement them right away, as opposed to just sort of thinking, oh, that's a good idea, and then never really coming back to it. And then engage with us in the chat box. So up on your upper left side of the screen there, you should be able to click the little chat bubble, which will pop up on the side. Depending on where you're joining us from, you might have a different chat box than somebody else, but you should be able to engage with some other people. I'll pop in when I can, but in general, you can just get in there and engage. Excuse me. And then definitely stick around until the end. I have something special I want to share with you. There's lots of information the whole way through the webinar. So, keep this open and pay attention, and we will delve right in here today. So I want to start by, using that chat box there. I want to ask you a couple of questions first. So go ahead and tell me, what benefits do you know children get from engaging with nature? So, off the top of your head, if somebody just asks you, what is good about spending time in nature? What do you think? Go ahead and throw an answer up there in the chat box. Okay, fresh air is good for your lungs. Lisa says fresh air is good. Absolutely, fresh air. Physical exercise, of course. Yeah, spending time with friends outside. Yep, those are all really, really common ones. Awesome. Okay, so you already know there's lots of great benefits. Nobody would ever say that it's a bad idea to get out and get your kids outside, right? Okay, so moving on, the next question is, do you know how much time the average American child spends outside daily? This is a question. Let's see if you can guess that one. There was a study done quite recently about this. It's pretty disturbing results, actually. What do you think? How many minutes does the average American child spend outside every day? Somebody says 5 minutes. Ooh, 30 minutes, 2 hours. All right, we got kind of all over the range guesses there. 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Yeah. So should I give you the answer now or wait? Now. Okay. So the average American child spends less than 30 minutes a day outside in unstructured play. So that would be, that doesn't take into account like waiting for a bus, if they go to school, or being outside with the family, just like waiting for a car pickup, or getting in the car, running errands. That doesn't really count. But actually, there was a study done about actually spending time playing, imagining, just being a child outside, less than 30 minutes a day. And then the last question is, would you like to learn more ways to include nature in your child's everyday experiences? And what do you think? Yes, lots of yeses. All right, of course you do. All right, that's why you're here. So I want to start with 3 reasons this webinar might be for you. So the first way this webinar might be for you is if your child already spends a lot of time outside each day and you're curious to see how they're benefiting from this natural interaction. Maybe you just want more information about this. So you already have a kid that's outside, spending lots of time outside, likes to be outside, and you just want to know what they're getting out of it, basically. Another reason this might be for you is if you want you want to get your child away from screens and outside more. So maybe you will have recognized that your child spends a lot of time, looking at a screen. But you're not quite sure how to do it in a way that's fun. So sometimes if we, have kind of developed that habit of a lot of screen time for our children, that it is hard to pull away. It's that instant gratification. They get a lot of stimuli right away. So pulling away from that habit and getting into nature can be a bit of a journey. You have to kind of create that new habit and that new love for something that's different for them now. So maybe that's the situation that you're in, and you want to figure out how you can do that in some ways that maybe isn't such a struggle. And then the third way would be you want more information about the benefits of learning in nature to share with others. And I find that this is a reason actually a lot that when I talk with the people that I work with, a lot of people are asking me, I work with some teachers and they want to find out how they can share the benefits of being outside with the parents of the kids that they teach. I work with a lot of homeschooling parents, and they are struggling sometimes with I guess validating their choices maybe is the best answer, but they want to have research to back up what they're doing and why they're spending a lot of time outside. And because generally, if you're joining me and you're a homeschooler, we have a unique, and I'm a homeschooling mom as well, and we have a unique opportunity to spend way more time outside with our children than the typical school schedule. So it can be a struggle sometimes when you are met with some opposition for your choices. So it's nice to have that feeling of validation, even though you know that you're doing what's right. Sometimes it's nice to be able to share that information with others, sort of to back up what you are doing, but also to share. Lots of people might not know a lot of the benefits of engaging in nature. So before we really delve into the content today, I see some new faces in the chat box and some new faces in the attendees list there. So welcome to everyone. Hi again to those of you that have been following me for a while, and to those of you who don't know me, I'm going to do a quick introduction here and then we'll delve into the content. So my name is Leah McDermott. That's me in the photos there with my family. I am a mom, first of all. My boys, Charlie is 4 and Desmond is 17 months. And I am a former teacher, and I have left the teaching profession and dedicated my time to helping parents provide enriching, meaningful learning experiences for their children, specifically in nature. So using nature to teach everything we need to know about the world from a child's perspective is what I do. So my journey here began many years ago. I was actually raised as a homeschooled child. My family was in the military, so I moved around a lot, and homeschooling was certainly best for our family. And I was very passionate about knowledge and learning, and having that homeschool basis really gave me a love of independent learning. So when it became time to choose a path in life, I went to school for teaching. I got dual certified. I got 2 master's degrees in education. I was very, very passionate about changing the teaching profession, and I got a job in an urban public school. And unfortunately, I became pretty quickly disheartened at how hard it was really to impact such a large, system. I really believe in the individualized learning of children, and that became a big struggle for me to do when I had, growing class sizes every year. It was also a struggle when I had a push from administration to automate my classroom. So to make it as across the board as possible, to be doing what everybody else was doing. And I just don't believe that children learn best that way. They learn best when they have, some control over their environment, and their learning environment. So it became a struggle for me to continue feeling like I was doing the absolute best that I could. So after I had my oldest son in 2011, I made the choice not to go back to the classroom. The next year in 2012, I was really longing to share those passions and my knowledge with others again. So I started a natural living blog where I was sharing my family's journey towards going green and living a green lifestyle. And then as Charlie got older, I started just sort of naturally sharing a lot of the activities that I was doing with him on my blog. And a lot of my followers really, that's what they really resonated with. They wanted to see more of the activities that I was doing with my son. So I sort of continued sharing those here and there. And then when I had my youngest son last spring, at that point, Charlie was almost 3. So he was really doing a lot of sort of structured play activities, every day. And so I was sharing those with my followers, and they were just begging me, please, please, can you put something together so that we can have access to all of these things that you're doing with him so we can do them with our child. So I sort of, I mulled that around, and I ended up creating a program based on all of the activities that I had done with him in nature. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But also through there, I really started to get this desire to create a community of like-minded families where we could all come together. I knew I wasn't the only one with, answers, and I knew that, there were lots of other people with questions. So I wanted to kind of bring us all together in a space where we could all be supportive and kind of be on the journey towards getting our kids out in nature together in unique ways. So I started a nature-inspired Facebook group, and we have grown to almost 1,600 members now. So please come and join us. I'm going to go ahead and type the link right now into the chat box for you so that you can click directly on that and hop on over bit.ly/nature group. You can also just search on Facebook for Nature Inspired Learning Group, and it will come up. It'll find us there. But come on over and join us. It's a fantastic community of people. Like I said, we have almost 1,600 members, and it's growing every day. And it's just such a supportive place. It's, parents and grandparents and, teachers even, and all kinds of people that are coming together to share and support. And, it's a great, great place. But through this group, I started noticing a lot of the same questions coming up over and over again. And I kind of got this desire to share my answers or my knowledge about these topics with as many people as possible. And that's how these webinars came about. So if you're joining me for the first time, I've actually been doing these types of webinars for a while. So welcome. Now you're on my list. You'll get the replays and, sign-ups to join new ones when the topics come up. And definitely if you join that nature group, there you will also have, you'll get the up-to-date information about these webinars as well. But this is a place where I felt like I could come and I could just, open up and share everything with you guys and do some Q&As and really get the most out of answering those repeated questions. So, and one of them was, how can I share with others why I'm outside with my kids every day? So that's why we're here. So let's get right on into the content. So I'm going to start with the pain point here. The truth hurts. The average American child, like I mentioned, spends less than 30 minutes in unstructured play outdoors every day. And even worse than that, what hurts even more than only 30 minutes of unstructured play outside, is that they spend more than 7 hours a day in front of a screen. And that is, if you think about that, for the entire typical school length day, they're spending in front of a screen. And a lot of times that's even in the schools, they're spending times in front of the screens. So there is definitely not a balance there. I'm not at all saying there's a problem with technology. That's how we get to be here together today. My family lives across the world. We get to Skype with them and see them face to face. Technology is a fantastic thing, and there is a place for it. But when there is that complete shift in balance where our children are spending so much time in front of a screen and so little time engaging in imagination and unstructured play outdoors, we start to see a lot of consequences from that. And some of those consequences that we've seen are our childhood obesity rates have more than doubled since the 90s. And the US is now the largest consumer of ADHD medications in the world. So all of a sudden, as soon as the technology boom really hit and our kids have, made that huge shift towards spending so much time in front of a screen, now all of a sudden we're seeing a huge surge in ADHD diagnoses in our children, and then unfortunately the medication of them. So, is that a coincidence or is it a consequence? And I would argue very much so. After spending years in a classroom, being a mother, being a sister to younger siblings that are, raised in this technology world, it is most definitely a consequence of this shift of removing from nature and getting in front of a screen towards that, that, like I mentioned, that instant gratification, that stimulus right in front of their faces, over and over and over again. And, we're met with a challenge, because then we want to take those screens away and have our children focus, and they can't. We've wired their brains to, respond to technology, and they can't focus. So then we, put them in the system for having ADHD or ADD, and then we medicate them, and now, we have a problem with that. And also, another consequence, the number of children that are being prescribed antidepressants by their pediatricians has risen dramatically as well since the 90s. So now, not only are we, we have the soaring childhood obesity rates, and along with that, all of the childhood diseases that are associated with that. So diabetes and heart disease, and those follow us for the rest of our lives, those kinds of things when they happen in childhood. We're taking more ADHD medications than anywhere else in the world. And now our children are on more antidepressants than anywhere else in the world. So that is, these are some problems. So we're supposed to be, doing what's best for our kids, and we put them in front of screens, but it is not, we're not balancing it appropriately. So definitely we have some problems here. So the good news is that it is easy to make those changes, and everything we need is right outside our doors. So connecting with nature helps your child develop social skills. They develop intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So it isn't just, at the beginning of the webinar, I asked you, what are some ways that you know that your child is benefiting from being out in nature? And you said things like fresh air is good for your lungs, and, physical exertion is good. It helps them sleep better. And those are benefits that we know for sure, but it's really, the research is showing that engaging with nature actually has benefits on multi-domains. Across the board, you're getting all kinds, and this isn't even just for children, but obviously the earlier we can start implementing these things for them, the better their whole lives will be. So I want to delve into each one of those here for you now. So if you have that pen and paper, you might want to be jotting down any of these that sounds super exciting to you. If you're a research junkie like I am, maybe write down those citations there if you want to come back to them later. But as far as social skills, we have research showing that spending more time in nature actually makes you nicer. And that's because, being outside, and it is calming, it is relaxing. And I will say, as a perfect example, yesterday, both of my children decided that they did not want to nap, and they woke up very early. They didn't take a nap. So meltdown time came very long before bedtime. So around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was just like crisis mode in the house. Everybody was frustrated, and the children were very upset and screaming. They were fighting with each other. They couldn't get along. They weren't getting what they wanted. The parents, my husband and I were very frustrated. So we both looked at each other, my husband and I, and we said, we got to go. We got to get outside. So we threw everybody on the bikes and we rode. We are fortunate enough to live very close to a wonderful, we live in an urban area, but there's a wonderful park right by a river near our house. So we threw the kids, they were screaming at the time, threw them in the bikes. We rode down, half a mile down to the woods and set them free. And it was an instant shift in their attitude and their behavior and their overall emotional health. It was incredible. They were fighting like cats and dogs in the house, got them into nature, and instantly they were best buddies. They were searching for, twigs that looked like worms and trying to find pine cones to use for projects back at home. It was just an amazing, amazing shift. So if that's something that you have noticed before, I definitely challenge you to make those immediate, okay, outside, let's go outside, because being out in nature, it is research-based. It makes you nicer, and therefore it enhances positive social interactions with others. All 4 of us in our family, we were arguing and not having fun, went outside together, and it was a whole new experience that changed the rest of our evening. And then another study by Burdett and Whitaker showed, excuse me, when children are free to explore and engage in unstructured play outdoors by themselves or with others, they're smarter and they're better able to get along with others. So this study was pretty interesting, and what it showed is that when children have more opportunity to spend time outdoors, whether they're by themselves or with other people, it doesn't matter in what way they're spending time outside. But when they get to be outside and engage in that unstructured play, so totally child-led, They get to create their own adventure basically. When they have the time to do that, the children who spend more time outside like that in unstructured play are better problem solvers and better creative thinkers than their peers who are spending more time indoors or in front of screens. So it's actually, they're better able to get along with others. And I'm going to give you another anecdote here for the social skills. There is a very large playground near our home that has, it's the play structure as well, but it also has a natural element that the community or the city built into it. So it's these raised rocks and they have water that flows through it and it ends in a mud pit. And what I love seeing is we go to that park and, my kids might climb up and do the slide one time and then they head straight for the rocks and the dirt pile. But in general, that is the part of the playground that is full, not this play structure, but the natural elements of play is where all the kids go because it's creative and it's unstructured, and that is what kids crave. But what I really love seeing when I go there with my children is a wide range of age groups. My youngest is 17 months, and then my oldest is 4, but there are 9 and 10-year-olds there, and everybody is all working together to construct things and to solve problems. So the water, they have it, it's sort of raised on like a hill and water will flow down this rock structure. So the children will build dams with the mud at the bottom to stop the water flow or to reroute the water flow. And watching these children solve problems and work together is so different than arguments that I'm seeing on the play structures. So truthfully, these are, yes, these are grounded in research studies, but I am seeing it every day. And if you just keep an eye out and look, I bet you have seen exactly the same thing. I see some people chatting in the chat box there that you've noticed very similar things. So it is amazing what spending time in nature can do for social skills. Moving on from there are immense intellectual benefits and academic benefits to spending time in nature. And these are some of the more surprising ones. But daily exposure to nature, it increases a child's ability to focus, enhances their cognitive ability, and it lessens symptoms of ADD in children as young as 5. So that research study showed that having time every day to spend outdoors, even just a few minutes, actually changes the way a child is able to focus. So I know we said that the average American child spends less than 30 minutes a day outdoors. So the problem there really is the shift in balance. So when they're coming back inside, spending 7 hours in front of a screen, definitely negating all of that little bit of time they spent outdoors. So the more time that a child gets to engage with nature and spend outside, they're actually enhancing their cognitive ability by doing that because of the way that the brain works when they're playing outdoors. Another study showed that exposure to nature-based learning, so maybe separate from those unstructured plays where a child is just outside imagining, more structured learning with nature, it significantly increases performance on tests of children for critical thinking skills. So when a child is using nature to solve a problem, basically, is what this is saying, they actually are better at solving critical thinking skills than their peers who are not utilizing nature in their everyday learning. And then children who play outside have more active imaginations, and they're more likely to be able to solve a complex problem than their peers who spend more time inside. And that's sort of what I was mentioning on the last slide there. The more time a child has to play outside, they're going to have more active imaginations. I'm just going to say it right here. A screen cannot ignite a child's imagination. It does not. And as somebody who has spent years in a classroom and around children of all ages, I can tell you from my own experience and research that the amount of time we have spent with technology for our children, it is successfully killing the imagination of a generation. The children, these children do not have as active of an imagination as children who are not spending time in front of a screen, who are engaging in nature play. And the research is backing me up on this one. Again, there is a time for technology, but the most important thing for a child is that play is a child's work, is what Maria Montessori said, and she hit the nail on the head there. So the intellectual benefits are immense. So spending time outdoors, it increases those social skills, tons of intellectual benefits. Moving right along here, I hope you're learning some new things. Emotional growth, actually. Green plants and vegetation reduce stress among highly stressed children. So this study showed, this actually looked not just at children, but also at adults, and they found the exact same findings, that they looked at geographical locations and cities where there were a greater number of plants, had greener views, and access to natural play areas. So that would not be a playground, but more of that, like the rock structure that I mentioned before. So any area that is designed as a play structure, but is natural elements. So, climbing on rocks or climbing trees or playing in a riverbed, that kind of natural play area is what I mean by that. But they found that, those locations and those cities that had more of those things had significantly happier people, happier adults, and happier children. And the good thing about this one also is that this can be the same if it's brought indoors as well. So, I live in the Pacific Northwest. It's starting to hit the rainy season. It's raining this morning. So we still go out when the weather is bad, but it definitely tends to drive us inside a little bit more than it does in the spring and the summer. But bringing those plants inside, bringing that green life inside, the child can actually still get a lot of those benefits from engaging with the vegetation on the indoors or inside. So that's a really great thing to know as well. And another webinar I've talked about is actually how to bring nature into your indoor space. And I'm going to share about that a little bit later as well. But that is definitely something that can be a benefit on the inside as well as the outside. And then play protects children's emotional development. This is a very interesting study. If you look up one, I would recommend this one. A loss of free time in combination with the hurried lifestyle of Americans can be a source of stress, anxiety, and depression for children. So there at the beginning, I mentioned to you that since the 90s, we've seen a significant rise in the amount of prescriptions for children's antidepressants. And we are contributing that specifically to a loss of free play and combination with the hurried lifestyle. So, in the average American home, we see, the 7 hours of school every day, and then the children come home, and if they're not rushing off to a whole bunch of, extracurricular activities, which can a lot of times just be a source of frustration. We have all those extracurricular activities that we're rushing, and that hurried lifestyle that the parents are leading and, pulling their children along with. But then the easiest thing to do when you're in a hurried lifestyle as a parent is to throw your child in front of a screen. So I definitely understand what that's like and, having that struggle, but we need to understand that it is having detrimental consequences to our children. It is a source of stress. It's a source of anxiety, and it does contribute to depression and that rise in antidepressant medication for children. So we need to really be thinking about how much time we're allowing our child to have that imaginative play outdoors. And then connections. So this is sort of along the lines of the social skills, but more on like a spiritual level, the connections with others and with self and with the world. So the more time someone spends in nature, the more they feel connected to others around them on a personal level. So, this study sort of looked at not just children, but adults as well. The more time that they spent, sort of actively engaging with nature, the more they felt like they had a spiritual connection to everybody around them, to their community, to their world, to their families, to their friends, and to strangers as well. So it really helps to develop that sense of communal understanding and sort of spiritual connections. And whether or not you're religious, nature definitely has its place in religion and in just a basic sense of spiritual connection as well. And then specifically with the connection to earth, children who grow their own food and make their own food feel more connected to the earth, and then they're more likely to eat fruits and vegetables, and then they're more likely to continue healthy eating habits, through their entire lives. This is one of my favorite studies as well, that they found that for the child who had a hand in growing their own food, or from physically seeing where it came from, they have that connection to the food and to the earth, then they're more likely to desire eating fruits and vegetables. If they have a hand in preparing that food as well, those eating habits that they develop as children, specifically when they're healthy, will follow them through their whole lives in general. So if you take the time when they're children to build those healthy eating building blocks, you're setting the foundation for them to have that habit for the rest of their lives. So you really can make all the difference in fighting those, that childhood obesity and the diseases that kind of come along with that and follow the children forever into adulthood. And you can really combat that pretty easily just by engaging with the earth through food. And then finally, the physical benefits of engaging with nature. And these are a lot of the ones that we typically think about when we're talking. At the beginning, again, I asked you what what your first thoughts were when it came to spending time outdoors, and you had physical benefits. So, the fresh air is good for your lungs. That's absolutely true. The physical exercise, of course, it helps you sleep better, and it's just better in general for their social skills. Some more surprising ones that you might not be aware of. More time spent outdoors is actually related to reduced rates of nearsightedness. Now, it may not be surprising that staring at a computer screen would cause damage to our eyes, of course. And that's especially for children whose eyesight is still developing. But when they're outdoors, it's actually the opposite effect. The children who spend more time outside are found to have reduced rates of myopia or nearsightedness. So it's good for their vision. This one might not be so much of a surprise, but spending time outside raises levels of vitamin D. You get that vitamin D directly absorbed into the skin from being out in sunlight, and that can protect children from bone problems and lots of other health issues like immune problems. So, one of the things that if I notice that we're starting to get a little bit of a stuffy any kind of cold sort of sneaking its way in, we go outside. That's the first thing we do. I know the gut reaction is to kind of hunker down in the house and sort of suffer through it, but truthfully, it's to get out. That vitamin D coming into your skin is one of the greatest ways to fight off, immune system and illnesses, or immune system illnesses and colds. So that's the first thing. That's my first reaction when the kids have a little sniffle or bring it home from somewhere is outside, get out in the sunshine. We're going to fight it off the good old fashioned nature way. And then time spent with nature in child-directed play is directly related to a decrease in childhood obesity, childhood diabetes, and ADHD. So this study showed that when a child is outside getting to, maybe with a structured activity, but they're getting to lead it. So as long as the child has some control over the way that the activity is going, they're playing and engaging with nature, you see a direct link to that and the decrease in childhood obesity, childhood diabetes, and then those ADHD symptoms. So this is all kind of wrapped up in one, amazing benefit package. So if you think about it in terms of a drug or a medicine, if I were to tell you that there was a new drug on the market that could take care of, that would give you all of those benefits that I just listed, a dozen or more amazing benefits for every area of your life, everybody would be clamoring to get that, right? They'd pay all kinds of money to have, a reduced rate of diseases and better social skills and a more spiritual connection to others and emotional health, an intellectual boost. And then all I had to do was say, just go outside. Go outside, bring plants inside, engage with nature and let your children play outside. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's free. It's right there for you. It's accessible. And it's amazing what the benefits are. So did you know that spending time with nature daily had that much of an impact on your child's overall health? So I just want to take a second in the chat box there. How many of you were surprised by at least one fact that I shared with you so far today? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Karen says, I had no idea that it helped directly with nearsightedness. Yeah. Yep. Social skills are, the social skills ones are pretty great. I particularly am really, I always love sharing the ones about emotional health. And that's because most of the children that I work with in the families that I work with in general, most of those children are younger in preschool and early childhood years, early elementary years. And that is such an emotionally trying time because their brains are developing so rapidly and their bodies are developing so rapidly. So, so quickly they are learning that they can do new things and they are, they have the brain power to do new things. And yet their emotional capacity is not developing as fast as their bodies and their brains. So we see these meltdowns from children, just like I mentioned with my children yesterday, because they can't control their emotions as well as their body or as fast as their brains and their bodies are moving. So knowing that it can be as easy as spending more time in nature to kind of boost that emotional health is really fantastic thing for me. So that's one of my favorite things to share is those emotional benefits, especially for young children. So now I've given you all of these great benefits, and you know all of these research studies now, but now what do you do with it? Where do you start? Obviously, this is always, even for parents who spend lots and lots of time outside already with their children, this kind of presentation is always inspiring to do more. So if you're, even if you are somebody who spends a lot of time outside with your children already, or your children already outside a lot, or if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum and you're saying, oh my goodness, I had no idea there were all of these benefits, how do I get my children away from the screens and wanting to be outside because they fight me on it? Excuse me. So where can you start? I'm going to share some tips and tricks with you here to help you encourage more outside nature-based learning experiences. So the first tip would be to move any basic activity outside anytime you can. So this would really be thinking outside of the box here. So you don't have to separate outside time as being only for playtime. So, if you have a child that might be a little bit resistant to that, or maybe you are resistant to that, to being outside, a lot of times I find that parents, they don't spend time their children don't spend a lot of time outside because they themselves have a block about it from childhood for whatever reason. So, for yourself or for your child or just your family in general, if you're kind of making that shift into wanting to spend more time outside, the first step you can do is to move those non-play activities outdoors. So when you're reading to your child, go sit outside. They're breathing that fresh air. They are, listening to the sounds of nature, of the outdoors. There's green plants, it is an overall calming, the vitamin D on your skin, and you're just moving that general activity outdoors to get all those benefits. You could sit on your couch and read, or you could go outside and read and enhance the reading experience. So taking naps outside is a great one. When my kids were really little, that's one thing I always tried to do with them, was let them nap outdoors. Quiet time. My oldest doesn't nap anymore, but he still has a quiet time during the day. So we actually have a space outdoors that is, sort of removed from the play area, that allows him a space to just sort of relax and read some books and have his quiet time outdoors when he wants. Even something like taking your meals and your snacks outside. So a picnic, or, just sitting out in the backyard and eating anytime you have the opportunity, or out on the patio or the deck, or your balcony. Art time is a great one to take outside, because especially if it is like a messy art activity like painting. I know after showing this webinar, I had a lot of people decide to move. They had art easels for their children, and they decided to move the art easel outside, because then the child is still engaging in an activity. They're outdoors experiencing all of these great benefits, but then the cleanup is easier because they don't have to worry about getting paint out of the carpet, or gathering up all of the supplies right away because guests are coming over or whatever. So moving those sorts of activities outdoors can be beneficial on a lot of levels, but it really helps you to make those really simple steps towards spending more time outside. The second tip would be finding natural play structures in your area, not playgrounds. Now, there's nothing wrong with playgrounds, but the difference in the way that a child is going to play on a playground versus playing in a natural structure, it is very different. And that story I told you at the beginning about the playground in my city, where they have, the man-made play structure, but then the natural play structure, that is where the children flock to. They flock to that natural play structure. So, maybe do some research about some things that are specifically set up for that, but also kind of, again, thinking outside of the box there. Are there trails nearby, that you could ride your bikes to, or drive to even, and walk some trails with your child, or, a stream or a riverbed or something where your child could play with water. So finding those, anytime you have the urge to take your child to a park or a playground, maybe thinking outside the box there and seeing if there's some natural places that you could take them to let them engage in a different imaginative way. Setting up an outdoor learning space is another thing, and I have a whole webinar just on that topic specifically. I'm running out of time here. I don't want to get too specific about that, but basically everything that you would put in an indoor learning space, you can do outdoors, and vice versa, bringing the outdoors indoors is a really great thing to do. And I'm actually, I did want to share with you one thing. Speaking about that, bringing nature indoors, I am doing an e-course, an email course. It's going to be kind of like the webinars, only you'll have access to it whenever it suits you. You don't have to worry about a time. And you can, if you join the nature group there that I linked you to, the Facebook group, I'm sharing the link to that in there. I don't want to overwhelm you with links here. So join the nature group on Facebook that I linked you to already, and you'll see, I'm calling it Nature Hack Your Child's Learning Space, and it's going to be a 10-day course. It starts on Wednesday, and I'm going to help you completely transform your child's indoor learning space to bring those natural elements inside to help your child get all of those benefits. So join the group, look for Nature Hack in there, and you'll find what I'm talking about. And then the last tip would be to plan structured child-led play activities to encourage learning and engaging with Mother Nature. So one of the things I find with families who maybe their first instinct is not to go outside, if they're kind of wondering how they can sort of move into that, which a lot of you mentioned at the beginning, that's kind of where you are. You know, you want to get your children away from the screen time and you want to get outdoors more. A lot of times we see a struggle or a backlash against that from the children because, you know, they've spent all this time indoors or in front of a screen, and then you throw them outside and they kind of like, what do I do now? They don't know. I don't want to say they don't know how to play, but it's true. They don't really know how to engage their imaginations after they have been spending that much time with, you know, all of that imaginative stuff being done for them on TV or on, you know, iPhones or iPads or tablets or whatever. So if you can set up structured activities for them that allow them the freedom to explore within a specific theme or realm, that encourages those learning behaviors and that engaging with Mother Nature, but it's a way that makes it easier for the child, and it makes it easier for you to see the direct benefits of what they're doing. So right along with that, would you like to know how to create hundreds of meaningful, engaging, nature-based learning experiences? So what do you think? Can I share that with you? Yes, of course. Of course we want to know hundreds, yes. So at the beginning when I introduced myself, I mentioned that I had my blog followers asking me to please share what I was doing with my son every day in nature with them. And so I put all of this together back in March of this year, and I compiled this program. I called it A Child's World, and I put it out there for a small group of people to sort of test for me. And I took all of their feedback, which was incredible. People absolutely, it was exactly what they were hoping for and more. They absolutely loved it. So I took all of their feedback, and at the beginning of this month, I re-released it, sort of changing up things, you know, based on the feedback that I got. And now I have it available for everybody. So what you get through this program is the original 20 themes that it came with. So it comes with 20 nature-based themes, like I said, all centered around natural elements. So you've got all 4 seasons are in there: birds, bugs, space, light, colors in nature, ocean life, rainforest animals, trees, rocks, what did I see? Ocean life, Arctic life, ice. I can't even think of all of them off the top of my head. So basically anything that your child would naturally want to discover and learn more about outside is in here, 20 themes. Within each of the 20 themes is 25 activities or more or less, you know, around there, depending on the advanced nature of the activity or how hard it is to set up. But there's 25 activities, including nature explorations, which are ways that you can utilize just what's around you. So in your basic nature walks around your home and your neighborhood and your city, how you can talk about these specific themes inside your own little community. So sort of bringing that bigger idea down to your child's personal world. Art activities, so how to use nature to create art, process art. Math extensions, so this is building those math building blocks with nature. And as we saw in a lot of those research studies today, when children have those structured play activities where they're learning with nature, it makes them better critical thinkers, better problem solvers, and there's a direct intellectual benefit to using nature to learn. And that's what we use this math extensions section for. There's sensory play, so really getting those direct benefits right there through the skin with engaging with nature. Science experiments, of course, because I firmly believe that the best way for a child to learn how something works together is to take it apart. So being able to deconstruct nature and see how it fits together and how it all works is a fantastic way to learn hands-on for a child. So there's science experiments. I have themed book lists in there. One of my master's degrees actually was on as a reading specialist. So early childhood literacy is something that I'm very passionate about, but I do not believe in the forced teaching of reading skills to young children, because I think we try to do that way too early when they're not developmentally ready. So my passion is to teach those early literacy skills through engaged reading with your child. And so what I do is I give you my top 10 favorite books related to every one of the themes. So you can check those out at a library, or if you really like them, you can, buy them to add to your private collection. But just through reading those, and I do give you a literature focused lesson, which is just kind of some tips on some questions that you can ask and ways to talk to your child when you're reading to kind of build those literacy skills without forcing the information before your child is ready. And then I also include a kid-friendly recipe because, like I mentioned, also from those benefits, I really did all this research before I put the program together, can you tell? We see direct benefits from when children have a hand in growing and creating their food. If it's healthy food that they have a hand in creating, they're going to build those healthy eating habits and keep them for the rest of their lives. So I help you sort of start that process through these themes. There's a themed recipe, so it goes right along with what you're learning about and what the child's interested in. And it is a healthy, no sugar, no food dye recipe that the child actually can create mostly on their own, maybe just with some adult supervision. So I kind of bring all of those benefits of nature directly into this program. And the best thing is that each of these themes, they don't build on one another. There's no specific order that you have to teach them in. They can completely stand on their own. So you can truly follow your child's interests and follow their lead here. You get lifetime access. So the more specifics here, it is available via download. So when you purchase it, you get a link right away in your email. You can download it to your computer. You can print it if that's how it works best for you, to have it on paper. So you can print there. You can just keep it saved on your computer. But in addition to that, you also have access via the cloud link forever. So you don't have to take up space on your computer. You don't have to print or download. You can pull it up on your phone. You can pull it up on a tablet. You can pull it up on your computer. So anytime you need it, boom, it's right there for you. There's more than enough in here for a full year of activities. Originally when I did this program, I sort of stretched it out because it wasn't a program then. It was just things that I was doing. So it was sort of piece by piece every day over, I would say, a 2-year period. So when I compiled it all together, now I'm actually teaching it to my son again as a full program. And he's 4 now. And even though he's done all of these activities before, he's bringing a whole new level of knowledge to them because the activities are set up to be, very loosely structured and open-ended and child-friendly for them to explore on their own. Every unique child is going to get out of something new and different out of each activity. And then that'll be different every time they visit it. So you can use this over and over again. You could stretch it out and do, activity every day for 2 years. Or, you could really focus it and, and do it intensely based on your child's interest for 2 weeks at a time. For example, right now, my son, it's the autumn equinoxes this week. He's all about gathering leaves and nature items for autumn. So I'm opening up that autumn theme, and I'm going to be doing all of those activities with him over the next couple of weeks. And we're going to add in, apple picking and the books that are in the list, so you can really relate it to your child's world, and that's the best way that they're going to learn when they're interested. You also get a how-to guide. So at the beginning of the program, I put in a 10-page guide that is packed with information that I thought was important. So it's a lot of what I talked about today. So some of those research-based benefits of nature, how to set up a good learning space indoors and outdoors, a good daily plan, a sample calendar of how I would use this through a year, some safety tips for being in nature, how to talk to your child about conservation and endangered species, just lots of really good information that I've thrown in there. So I talked about what you'll get, and I think it's equally important for you to understand what you'll be able to create with this program. So I firmly believe that all children are born with an innate sense of curiosity about their world around them. And so when you have this program, you get to create
a sense of wonder and excitement in your child, you get to enhance that and bring that world to them in a way that is easy for them to construct and deconstruct and learn from and make sense with. So you get to build on that natural curiosity with this program. You get to create over 500 unique activities that are all based in nature. So this program is full of over 500 activities that you get to bring to your child and create that experience. And like I mentioned before, it's a tailored learning experience, because my main goal for this program was for any parent to be able to follow their child's interest immediately. So when your child sees a caterpillar and wants to understand how that caterpillar becomes a butterfly, you don't have to take your time and go to the library or go to Pinterest and find activities or Google activities. You don't have to take the time to do that. You can pull up this program, open up the bugs theme, and right there you have 25 activities that you can do immediately with your child to help them understand and see how nature works and based on their interests. So you get to create a tailored learning experience for your child, and there is no better way to learn. And then you get to create engaging nature explorations, fun art activities, and messy sensory play, exciting science experiments, cooking fun, joyful reading experiences, and like I mentioned, that secret math understanding. So your child is building those math blocks and they don't even know it because they're just having fun engaging with nature and something that they're interested in. I did want to give you a little peek inside what the program looks like, so you're not walking in blind here. So these are excerpts from the Rocks theme, and you can see on the far left is the page where I recommend books. So I have right there the titles and authors so that you can find those books at your library. Those are just recommended. Again, none of this is like you have to have. This isn't a program where you have to follow it to a T. I really wanted to design something that you could use, that when you had this program, that's really all you needed. There was a recommendation for books that you could find, but truthfully, if you have a kitchen that's basically stocked kitchen and a basically stocked art supply center, with crayons and paints and paper and scissors, for the most part, you could do any of these activities at any time. And that was kind of my goal, that you wouldn't have to invest in anything else. There are very, very few activities in here where you would need to plan ahead significantly or maybe get something super special. In general, everything you should have right there in your home. But anyway, you see that book list there, and then down at the bottom is kind of that literature lesson that I give you. So just some ways that you can read with your child to build those early literacy blocks. In the center there, you see the nature explorations page, and that's where I give you ideas to engage with the theme elements, but in your own area. So sort of, again, helping your child have that connection from the world to themselves. And then the science experiments page on the right there, you can see I give you very, very detailed explanations on how to do these experiments to help your child sort of deconstruct that nature in front of them. And then I don't just give you the program. There's tons of bonuses that come with it. So the first bonus is a private Facebook support group. Now, I did already link you to the free Facebook group that's just there for everybody. That's a community that anybody can come and join as long as they follow our rules, of course. But that's a free group for everybody. When you purchase the program, you also get access to a private Facebook group. And that is only members, members only in there. I think we have almost 200 people that have clicked over to join by now. So it is a thriving group. That thread is moving all day long, and it's just families sharing pictures of the activities, the joy on their children's faces. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Yesterday, one of the pictures that the parents shared, it literally made me cry. They were studying the bugs theme, and they had raised monarch butterflies or caterpillars, and raised them into butterflies in the house, and studied them and did a lot of the activities along with it. And then yesterday they let them go, and the butterflies crawled out onto the little girl's fingers before they flew away. And the mom captured the perfect, pure joy of the child's face, and it was making me tear up. My husband thought I was crazy, but that's why I did this for the joy on the children's faces. But that's what you get in this group. But then I'm in there every day. You can ask me questions directly, so you get immediate access to me through the group. And I have files in there as well that I've just kind of, whenever something comes up that I think about, I throw it in there. So I have like supply lists and lots of extra things. People are adding additional activities and books that they've really liked, that they used along with some of the themes as well. So you get all those bonus resources, sort of right in that group. So the Facebook group alone is worth the whole program pretty much. It's a fantastic community of people. I'm also working, I'm throwing this in there, I'm working on a video training series that's kind of a lot like what I shared with you today, only concise videos that you're gonna have access to all the time. So I wanna be able to take all of those commonly asked questions, make a video about them, put them on a private section of my website so that members can go access those and sort of have like basically a parent training area. So I have that's coming up. I have 2 new ebooks that are releasing very soon. I have Stuck Inside, which is an indoor activity book, basically for those moments, we know that engaging with nature is very, very beneficial, but sometimes you're stuck inside. So I have this ebook that's going to help you come up with, or it'll have 30 activities. You don't need a lot of stuff to do. You don't have to prep for them. It's just you can pull it up and engage your child when you're stuck inside. And then I'm putting together a preschooler's cookbook, which is 30 more healthy, kid-friendly recipes you can make with your child, right along with the 20 that you'll get in the program that are theme-based. This will be 30 more to continue to build those healthy eating habit blocks for the rest of their lives. And then a really, really great bonus that you get, again, this one also is worth the whole program. And this is something that I snagged access to. My really good friend, Christina, she runs the Hippie Homemaker blog. She's an herbalist by trade, and she's using our program, A Child's World. She's in the Facebook group. She's using the program with her son, who's 5 right now. She's using that this year. And she and I were talking, and she was saying how she wanted to incorporate the herbs and she is an herbalist by trade, like I said, so she wanted to find a way to help her son understand what she was doing every day and help him have access to these herbs and nature that way. So she came up with a brilliant idea to put together a child-friendly herbal learning program to teach him and others now all about herbs and how they benefit our lives. So she's releasing this program. It's incredible. It is, it's like a Waldorf style story, and she's telling a story in pieces. So every other week she releases a new section of the story, and she's only the introduction has been released so far. The next step is coming out soon. So you'd be coming in right at the beginning. You wouldn't have a lot of catch up to do yet, but so she's going to be releasing this over a year. You'll get 35 total herbs, and each of the modules comes with a continuation of this fantastic story. It's a siblings that are on a journey through some woods to save their grandmother, and they have to use and find specific herbs along the way. So you get the story that goes along with it. My son is in love with this first part of the story already. Activities and recipes and tips for growing and all kinds of information you can share about the herb. And then she's also having a local artist design coloring pages to go along with it. So this program is the bomb, and I love being able to have access to this for my son, and you will get access to this as well as a bonus through the Facebook group when you purchase my program today. So that is a fantastic bonus. So it sounds amazing, right? So how can you get it? So once all of the bonuses are released, this will retail for $149 through my website. Right now I am running a special on it, and it's only $89. So since you took the time to be in the webinar with me today, you can snag that $89 price. To get that, you go to bit.ly/CFB preschool. I'm putting the link in the chat box there for that for you as well. You can go through, that'll take you to a page that'll give you a little bit more information about the program. Well, it gives you lots of information about the program and the bonuses, but it's basically everything I already shared with you today, just sort of typed out. And there's some testimonials from people who have used it as well over the past couple of months. And then you can check out right there through PayPal or with credit or debit. So you have access to get that right there through that. But wait, there is more. Of course, I can't just do those bonuses. I have to throw one more thing in. So if you order right now before the end of the webinar, this is only good until the end of the webinar. So fast acting bonus for you to take advantage of this deal right away. You'll get free access to my other ebook, What is My Child's Unique Learning Style and How Do I Teach to It? So this ebook will help you understand the different ways that children learn or that people learn. Not everybody learns the same way. And this, specifically for homeschoolers, can be a big challenge when a parent discovers that their child learns differently from them. And one of the biggest roadblocks in homeschooling is when a parent is trying to explain a new concept and the child isn't getting it. And that can often be simply because they have a difference in learning style. So, and teachers struggle with this as well. It's not just with parents. But anyway, you'll get this ebook that will help you understand the different types of learning styles. There's a quiz in there to help you determine where you fall and where your child falls in terms of learning styles. And then it will help you match up those learning styles with specific philosophies of teaching and give you some tips on how to set up those new learning experiences and tailor them to the way that your child learns. So this ebook can totally change the way that you teach your child, and not just academically, but in every area of their life, even their practical life skills. So that's something that you get access to immediately, only if you purchase now before the end of the webinar. So we're going to do a Q&A to kind of keep the things, keep the lines open for a little bit to give you a chance to snag that fast acting bonus there of the ebook, the Learning Styles ebook. I'm going to leave this page up for you so you can see that link. Again, it is in the chat box, the bit.ly/CFB preschool. And then I'm going to be here to answer. I'm going to leave the chat box open and the webinar open for about 5 to 10 more minutes, depending on the questions that pour in. If you have any right this second, go ahead and type them in and I'll answer them here. Otherwise, I'm going to turn the microphone off and I'll just stick around in the chat box to answer you right there. But otherwise, I hope you got a lot of great new information from the webinar today. I would love to see you in that free Facebook group, of course, and I would definitely love to see you in our paid Facebook group for the Child's World program. Okay, we have a question here from Lisa. Lisa says, Laura says, can I use this in a classroom if I'm a teacher, or is it only for homeschoolers? So that's a really good question. And the answer is yes, you absolutely can use this in a classroom. I have many people in our group that are using this in a public school classroom even. They're implementing as much of this as they can into I have some kindergarten teachers that are implementing these activities when they have the opportunity. Several people who run like in-home daycares or Reggio Emilia preschools and kindergartens. So yes, absolutely, this can be taught. The only thing you would have to do is adapt the activities, to be able to do it for multiple children. As opposed to just one. The only time that might get tricky is in, I think it's the space theme where, I talk about, maybe taking your child out at night to see the stars. So, you might not have a chance to do something like that, but you could easily recommend it to the parents. So in general, most of the people in the group are homeschoolers. However, that is definitely not everybody. So yes, this can absolutely be used in a classroom setting. I've even had directors of full programs buy this to use in each one of their classrooms. So yeah, it certainly can be used for groups of children as well. Okay. All right, Stephanie said, what would your recommended age group be? Is it just for preschool? So ideally, this program is for about ages 3 to 5 specifically. But again, it's sort of across the board because these activities are so open-ended that the child really will bring their own level of understanding and interest and knowledge to the activity, and they will get out of the activity what they need to get out of the activity. So we have lots. A lot of them I started with my son when he was 2, and like I said, again, he's 4 now, and he'll be coming back to these activities again this year with a whole new set of understanding, and he'll get all new kinds of information out of it. My youngest is 17 months, and generally speaking, I will set him up with the same activity, just maybe tailored a little bit to what he can do as far as like the fine motor work. If he's working with really small beads or something, I might give him something different. But he will do all of the sensory play activities. He loves the nature walks, of course. But he's learning in his own way right along with this. So, younger kids. And then I've had lots of parents tell me that when they are doing these activities with their 4 or 5-year-old, they cannot keep older siblings out of the room and out of the space that they're learning in. So we've got, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are wanting to do these activities as well, because they really are fun and engaging, and it gets you outside and helps you bring nature indoors as well. So ideally and specifically, I had 3 to 5-year-olds in mind for this, but that definitely is not a limiting factor. Stephanie, I hope that answers your question there. Yes, okay, good. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my microphone. I will remain here to chat with you in the chat box. So if any questions happen to come up about anything that we talked about today, any of those benefits of nature, or about the program specifically itself, go ahead and type those right there into the chat box. Again, you can access that, the top left-hand side of your screen. You should be able to click a little chat bubble and come on over and ask any questions you have. I'd be happy to answer them. If you think about something later, find me in the Facebook group. Just tag me over there. Leah McDermott, again, is my name. That first link there in the chat box, bit.ly/nature group, that'll get you into our Facebook group over there. And then to order the program today, bit.ly/CFB preschool. And that link is also in the chat box there for you as well. And you can order that after today's webinar, of course, but that fast acting bonus, that learning styles ebook bonus, is only if you order before the webinar is over. So I'm going to leave the webinar on for 5 more minutes, guys, 5 more minutes to get that bonus, that fast acting bonus. And I'm going to turn my microphone off now. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat box. Thank you so much for spending an hour of your time with me today. I love sharing this information with others, so I'm happy that you're happy to learn it. So thank you for having me into your time today, and have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you might be joining me from. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.